Recently, at a sales department meeting, I asked our employees what is currently concerning potential buyers. And everyone, without exception, told me that people are worried because everyone is expecting a price crash. And by the way, that's why they don't want to buy. They're afraid that prices will drop and that if they buy now, they'll end up paying more than they could if they waited a bit. In this video, I will tell you point by point whether there will be a real estate price crash in Northern Cyprus. Be sure to watch the video until the end. At the end of the video, I'll explain why I myself would really like for a price crash to happen in Northern Cyprus. As of today, there is no price crash. There are lower prices from those sellers who are selling in a panic. They're panicking. They don't understand the new laws. They want to get out of this investment quickly so that, God forbid, they don't lose money. But they're not selling, as we might wish, for 10 times less or even 7 or 8 times less. They're selling for twice as much as they themselves bought for. But what does selling even mean? They want to sell? So far, there haven't really been any such sales. But when they eventually sell for about twice what they originally paid, it's still approximately 20 to 30% less expensive than what comparable new properties would cost today from the same developers in the same projects. With the start of the Great Continental War in Europe, prices in Northern Cyprus rose by 100–200%. And as of today, if someone suddenly wants to sell their property, they don't really need to. No one has any need to sell anything right now. People are just panicking. They're afraid. They're thinking, oh, okay, I'll get out of this investment. Something strange is happening in the market. But if he bought it for 30 or 40,000 pounds, now he says, I want to sell it for 60 or 80,000 pounds. And a similar property from the developer today already costs, for example, 110 or 120,000 pounds, and it will only be built in another 2 or 3 years. Thus today, real estate on the secondary market is about 30% cheaper than similar properties in the same buildings, the same complexes, or the same projects, if they haven't been built yet, offered by the developer. Therefore, I believe that right now is a very good time to buy real estate. For now, prices on the secondary market have temporarily dropped.
And in your opinion, do people prefer new builds or secondary market properties?
When we talk about new builds or secondary market properties, we're actually talking about the same real estate objects. For example, someone bought their property in 2017 or 2018 or 2020, and for the previous 3 or 4 years, that property was under construction. At best, they've only just managed to furnish it, haven't really had a chance to use it yet, or maybe they haven't even furnished it at all. So this property is technically from the secondary market, but it's absolutely new. It's no different from a comparable new property. It has the same modern finishing materials, the same modern technologies. Accordingly, you could say these are essentially the same properties, but since they're being sold not by developers but by private individuals, they're sold at a lower price. And today, it actually makes sense to buy a resale property in these same projects simply to save money. You can save tens of thousands of pounds. Why overpay when you can buy for less? It's another matter if we start thinking now, in another month, 2 or 3, these prices will drop even further. That's a mistaken belief. You don't have to take my word for it. You can wait and see for yourself. And developers won't lower their prices simply because the land plots for construction over the next 10 years have already been purchased. They were purchased at the price peak, and the cost of the land plot in the price of each property, each apartment, depending on whether it's low-rise or high-rise construction, ranges from 10 to 50,000 British pounds. That's just the land. It doesn't include construction costs yet, nor marketing expenses, taxes, project costs, or company profit. That's just the land in each property. If the land plot in the price of this apartment costs 50,000, how can we expect this property to cost 30,000? That's impossible. Right now, we're renovating a 2-bedroom apartment. Just the renovation, not construction, just renovation of the apartment is costing us over 80,000 pounds. We haven't finished yet, so I don't know the final price. That's just the renovation. How can this apartment cost less if it was purchased for over 100,000 pounds and the renovation costs 80? A few days ago, we attended a presentation of new construction projects in Alsancak. The projects, the developer said that now they will have budget options. So, a budget 1-bedroom apartment costs 195,000 pounds, basically 200. And a budget 2-bedroom apartment from the same developer in this new project that was just announced costs 395,000 pounds. These are the prices. They simply can't be lower because there are the base costs of land, construction and finishing, which won't decrease.
And do you work more with resale properties or new builds?
Look, we work a bit differently. Our goal is to satisfy our buyers as much as possible. So, if a buyer comes in and says, I have a small amount of money and I want to invest it in some property, I'd like to pay over 5, 6 or 7 years, gradually converting my income into this property. Then, of course, we turn to the developer and help our client purchase something in a new project because no one will offer installment plans for resale properties. You have to pay 100% upfront. But if the buyer says, I want to invest and I have this amount of money, we say, let's do it this way. To invest, you need to buy something that is already priced below the market today. Let's not count on it going up in value. Let's buy it cheaper today so that you are guaranteed to make a profit. Even if you sell it at today's price, you will still make a guaranteed profit. And then we go to the secondary market and choose the most liquid, the most attractive property for this particular buyer on the secondary market. So in any case, we work with both the primary and secondary markets. The main thing is that our buyers are satisfied that we meet their wishes and needs as much as possible. As you can see, we don't work according to the usual scheme. There's a buyer, you need to sell and make money from it. We work based on your wishes. We have been working for 20 years, fulfilling your wishes, goals, requests, and interests. We select exactly what you need. And in over 20 years of our company's work, it is precisely this strategy that has borne fruit. It's a mutually beneficial strategy. When things go well for you, our buyers, our company also earns as a result. You can read more about our company's work on our website. The link is in the description of this video. Where do these ideas and concerns about a potential market crash or a real estate bubble actually originate from? This is because we are being compared to our colleagues in Dubai. In Dubai, there really is a bubble, and it really did burst, even though just last year buyers purchased real estate worth $33 billion. But their crisis began back in 2008, when the global financial crisis hit, which originated in the United States. And then they had an oil price crisis. And after that came the pandemic. And from 2008 until 2022, the Dubai market had collapsed. It was in a state of permanent crisis. And it turns out that only because a major continental war began in Europe, growth returned to the Dubai market again in 2022. Fomin, Northern Cyprus. If you or I want to come here, why would we even want a vacation in Northern Cyprus? Because we want to swim in the sea. And here there is the purest warm sea with a long beach season, because we want to play in the casino, we want to try a new, interesting, unusual and very rich cuisine, we want to relax in a spa, we want to visit historical sites, to visit the monastery of Apostle Barnabas. And by the way, his relics are here as well. Maybe we want to go to the monastery of Apostle Andrew and collect holy water there. Maybe we want to visit the birthplace of Saint Spiridon. All of this is here in Northern Cyprus. There are many attractions here. Personally, my family and I really like it here. The nature here is beautiful. In other words, there are plenty of things to do here and plenty of reasons to come. That's why I want to go to Dubai, simply because everyone is talking about it. But when my friends come back from the beaches, well, no. Beach vacations there? Also no. Low prices? Again, no. Cuisine? Also no. Nature, weather, climate? No, no, and no. Fomin. It's just curiosity, just a hyped up, interesting tourist destination. But in Northern Cyprus, there are real advantages behind it, which, for example, Dubai doesn't have. Plus, the Abu Dhabi real estate market has emerged. Additionally, the real estate markets of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Oman have appeared. And there, it's new territory with lower prices and more attractive conditions. This year, investors moved there, which is why the Dubai market has crashed. As you can see, Northern Cyprus doesn't have this problem, and it can't happen there. At one point, we thought about going to Montenegro for a 10-day vacation, and we looked online to see what sites there are and what you can do there. Because, as you understand, we're not interested in beach holidays. We live here in Northern Cyprus, and we realize there's no reason to go there. There are no attractions there, nothing worth going for. There you can go to Barcelona for a week, to Rome for a week, to Munich or London, or even for 2 weeks, and every day will still be filled with different events. In Montenegro, we didn't find anything like that. We realized that the only thing left is the local cuisine, but that's not a reason to go on vacation to this country. Fomin. It's enough to stop there for 1 day on a cruise ship, take a tour, go to a local restaurant, and you'll understand everything about this country. My friends, I myself would very much like for property prices in Northern Cyprus to collapse, because at that moment I would be happy to find the money, use all the finances our company has, and buy up everything on the market in order to resell it later and make a profit. That would be much more profitable, more rational, more reasonable and lucrative than getting involved in some new construction project. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Question, will there even be a crisis in the Northern Cyprus real estate market? There will definitely be a crisis, but not what is happening right now. Right now, we are not experiencing a crisis. A crisis will come in a few years. It will be localized in those regions where investments were made by mistake, where a bubble was artificially inflated locally, and that bubble will burst. But those investors, including us, who invested in the right regions, we will definitely make money on real estate, which is what we are doing now and what we are offering to you. Let's make money together.